Bezras Hashem, Sbaracha. I wanted to speak about the pasuk, the famous pasuk about the Gor Zevim Keves. One of the famous promises regarding the days of Moshiach, one of the famous quotes, pasuk in Yeshaya, Perek Nun Aleph, is that the Gor Zevim Keves, that a wolf will live together with a sheep. There's a few psukim in that. It's really in the Haftarah of Achron Shel Pesach. Yeah, and he says, the Haftarah of Achron Shel Pesach, just to quote the psukim,
of the trufa, the body of the lamed, the tzavara, and the neck of the lamed, the front part.
Says the nomerim gedi yirbots, a nomer, a leopard, will lie together with a gedi, a young goat or sheep. The egel l'chfir umri yachta, the calf and the young lion, and the mri I think is a fatty cow together. V'nara kotin noigbam, a small child will lead them. V'farei v'adoiv tira'ena yachta v'yibutzu yaldein, a axe and a bear will shepherd together. They'll put the children together. The lion will eat straw like cattle.
Is it literally?
We'll discuss about this. We'll speak about it. I'm translating it literally.
Oh, literally.
A small yoinik, a nursing baby, will play on the hole of a snake. On the hole of the snake, the baby will stick a child. Some people explain that
snake will exist. The time of Moshiach has to
be destroyed.
We'll speak about some Mepharshim explain that in the darkness of the hole of the snake, the eye of the snake shines. And the small child will be fascinated by it and stretch out its hand to play with the eye of the snake, but it won't harm it. Then it continues and it finishes off. They won't do any bad. They won't be mashchis. They won't destroy anything in my whole holy mountain. Because the earth will be covered with the knowledge of Hashem as water covers the sea. Now the Rambam, there's two main ways of understanding these psukim. One is understanding them literally, and one is understanding them shalei kipshut. They're not literally. Amongst that itself, there's a few variations, but I'll discuss. Let's first discuss to start off with the Rambam right away in the beginning of Perek Beis, when he describes how the world will look like when Moshiach comes. He says that you shouldn't think that when Moshiach comes will be a change in nature. The world will continue going the way it was until now. And it says this, that it says in Yeshaya, V'gor Zevim Keves, that a wolf will lie with the lamb. It's a mashal v'chida. It's speaking in metaphoric terms. And he explained that the idea is that goyim means a number of psukim are compared to wolves, to leopards, to other chayis rois, other wild animals, predators that are. And the Yidden are compared to a sheep or other, soft, easy-going animals. And the time of Golos, the Yidden are being, the whole time means to say, persecuted and being eaten up by the wild animals, by the Goyim. When Mashiach will come, the Goyim will live peacefully together with the Yidden. That a lion will eat straw together like a boker, like cattle. So he explains it means that the goyim won't steal any food; they'll eat. They'll eat permitted food, I guess, to say, without stealing, without hurting anyone, peacefully together with the Yidden. Goy says they'll all return l'dasa emes to the true religion, and the Rebbe explains. The Rambam doesn't mean that they're going to become Gedim. I want to discuss the whole. There's a whole question if you're allowed to accept Gedim when Mashiach. They didn't accept Gedim, but Pashas when Mashiach comes, you won't be able to accept Gedim also. But I don't want to get into this. We discussed this. According to some deists, there are those that say that all the Goyim will become Gedim. But the Rambam clearly, the Pashtus of the Rambam is clearly learning that they're not going to become Gedim. When it says they'll return to the Dasa Emes, means that they'll they'll keep the Sheva Mitzvahs, they'll keep what the Eibusher wants them to do.
So we make two targets.
The Ravid, right? The Ravid is one that always argues with the Rambam, so he takes issue with the Rambam here, and in this halach, and he says, how could the Rambam say that it's a mashal v'chida, that it's a mashal? The Torah clearly says, Vishbati chayira min haaretz. It's a pasuk in the Chukot that if you didn't keep the Torah mitzvahs, so the Eibishter will remove wild animals from Eretz Yisrael.
Dominating force.
So before we get to discuss a little, there's a little lumdus here between Rambam and the Ravid, which I'm not going to cover fully today. But just before we discuss that, let's discuss a little bit the pasuk that the Ravid brings. The Ravid is not stop bringing a pasuk, but he's quoting a pasuk that is discussed by Tanoim. The pasuk says, "Vishpati chayira min haaretz," that I will make wild animals be mashpis them from the land. What does it mean? The Eibusher will be mashpis them. Mashpis comes from the word Shabbos, rest, or what we have by getting rid of chametz. The Torah says tashpisu su'er. You should make rest, get rid of chametz. So here there's a machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda says, what does it mean? Rabbi Yehuda says, I believe Rabbi Yehuda is the one that says the Eibusher is going to remove the wild animals from the world. Rabbi Shimon says, when is there a greater praise for the Eibusher? When there's no wild animals at all, or when there's wild animals and the wild animals don't hurt anyone else? So he says it's obviously a greater ufta, a greater praise for the Eibusher when there's wild animals and they don't damage. So what does it mean? That the Eibusher v'yishpati, he will take away wild animals from the world. It doesn't say he'll take away. It says he'll be mashpis, I'll make them rest. It means mashpisun shelo yaziko. He'll change their nature that they won't harm anyone. And the Rabbi, if those that want to learn, it's a very interesting sikh in Chelik Zayin, L'kutei Sichas and Pashas B'chukai. The Rabbi brings a number of parallels to the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon when it comes side to Shabbos, side to Bir Chametz, and the point of the Rabbi says is that we find a general, the Shita say, or general difference in Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon throughout a number of their disagreements, which is when the Torah says the word tashpisu, it should rest, it should stop to exist. Doesn't mean that the etzem of the thing stops to exist, the actual thing doesn't exist. Doesn't mean that the form of the thing, the tzura doesn't exist. For example, by chametz, so I think it's, I don't remember exactly, but in the Kudas HaDevarim, the Rebbe brings the mashal on Shabbos. You know a famous thing, Malacha Shina Tzricha Legufa, somewhere, Davar Shina Miskam, and somebody's doing something without intention. So according to Rabbi Shimon, it's not a problem. Why? Because Rabbi Shimon says the action might be there, but the intention behind the action is missing. The form, the tzura sadavar, the content of the thing is missing. So it's, according to him, that's the main thing. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you go based on the actual action itself. Comes chametz, how do you get rid of chametz? You have to burn the chametz, or could you just brekel it up, crumble it up? I don't remember if the Rabbi brings this example there, but anyway, he brings an example. So Mepharshim explained there also the same thing. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you have to get rid of the chametz itself. You could only get rid of the thing itself if you burn it. According to others, you don't have to get rid of the actual matter of the chametz. You have to get rid of the tzura, the form of the chametz. When you crumble it up, the actual matter, the pieces exist, but they're totally destroyed in the extent that the meaning that of what all these pieces would represent, they would be together, is completely destroyed. That's good enough. The same thing here when the Torah says v'hishpati, it's the same root as tashpisu and Shabbos, that I'll seize wild animals from the land. Rabbi Shimon looks at it mitzad the tzura sadav. It doesn't mean the actual animal will stop existing. It means that the form of the animal, the content of the animal, the meaning, the idea of preying on other animals, that will stop to exist, but the actual animal will remain.
You mean the snake here doesn't...
I'm not discussing a snake right now. Shpati chayra min haaretz, a chayra, a pashas has nothing to do with a snake. It has to do with chveis, all other wild animals, wolves, lions. So the Ravid, when he brings this pasuk to argue with the Rambam, right? He's bringing it not stam. In other words, the Ravid bringing it, in other words, you could say.
The same expression over there. The same expression. The same Rambam expression over
Yeah,
there.
that's right. But in other words, he's coming because as I learn in Tanoim that it's you have to learn this pasuk kipshutai. Now how does the Rambam explain it? So the Rebbe says that the Rambam, according to the Rishit of the Rambam, the pasuk Vishpati Chayram notice Eibush will make wild animals cease to exist from your land is b'chal not a shaila to him, because the Ramban and other Mefarshim teach that all this doesn't mean that the animals won't exist or that the animals won't be predators anymore. It just means they won't go through Eretz Yisrael. The Eibush will do the same way. The Eibush is going to protect you, that the enemies won't come to harm you. You'll have enough food and the chveis and the sati shalom with butters and dala brachas. So the animals, they won't pass through your land. And furthermore, al pi tava, it's nicht azoi upgefrekt. The Ramban explains we know even today in civilized cities, you don't have wild animals. In a wilderness, in a forest, that's where the wild animals hang out. But when you have civilized place, when it's all be completely inhabited and civilized, so the animals won't come to bother you. But it doesn't mean that it has nothing to do with shinui hateva, with change of nature. So the Taka, the Tanoim in Teiras Kainim, Taka learn that it's a change of nature, but Pshutei Shal Mikra, the simple meaning of the pasuk Yishpati Chai Ram Noretz, doesn't mean a change of nature. So that is why the Rambam is b'chal not bothered by the pasuk. However, the pasuk regards Zevim Keves, that the wolf will live together with the lamb. That's not just saying that they won't pass through Eretz Yisrael. It's a much stronger expression, saying that the wild animals will live in peace together with other animals. So you can't say there. It's much harder to say that the pasuk b'chal not mentioning going through it or not going through Eretz Yisrael. So Mela the Rambam has to tie to some Moshul v'chida. That's why the Rabbi explains. There's another nekuda here which the Rebbe doesn't go into, but it's interesting to point out. The Rambam B'chlal has a shita which he explains very bekitzer, very short over here in Hilchos Malachim, but he explains it at length in Igeres Tchias HaMeisim, which I'll soon mention, and in Moire Nevuchim, where he possibly discusses the content. The Rambam B'chlal has a shita that when you look at the words of the Nevi'im of the prophets, you have to take into consideration that most of their words are said in a form of mishalom, of metaphoric. For example, many things which we're used to learn, other Mefarshim take very literal. It says that the light of the sun will be the light, like the light of the moon will be the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun, and the light of the sun will be 343 times even more. And there'll be a new sky, a new heaven. The Rambam says all these things, they mean very metaphorically, means that there'll be such rejoicing. It will appear, people will say, it's as if, the moon is shining brighter, as if there's a new sun, a new moon, because, everyone is so happy. And that's what the Rambam says. He's ma'arich. He explains at length that the whole approach, understanding the words of the Nevi'im, the Chatchila has to be taken should not be taken in a very literal way. It should be taken in a way of Moshul v'chida.
The chelik is very good.
Chelik, he discusses the Nevi'im or discusses the Divrei Chachamim. In Hakdamah the Pirushim Mishnayos. So the Rambam is following the same shita over here. Basically, he's saying that it's a Moshul v'chida. It's not to be taken literally. In Igeres Tchias HaMeisim, the Rambam actually discusses this halacha, and he says there that he explains a little bit more. He says this that I say over here. He says people had kindness to him. I don't want to go through the Igeres Tchias HaMeisim written because some people understood that the Rambam denies the concept of Tchias HaMeisim. They said he was explaining about Elam Haba, about Gan Eden. They thought that he denies Tchias HaMeisim. The Rambam was, he wrote a whole letter saying he has no idea where they made this mistake from, and explaining his shita. And he explains, part of it also is explaining his shita regarding the Moshiach, there won't be a change of nature, because in people's minds it went together. If there won't be a change of nature, so there won't be Tchias HaMeisim. So the Rambam says, he explains regarding this pasuk, he says, first of all, he says, I'm not the first one to tie the pasuk this way. He brings other Farshim that I don't think we have their Pirushim.
That were before him, of course.
Yeah, so Moshe, even whatever, different, even Bilam, different people that he mentions that meant a Taisha Pasuk. And he says, Lam de Fragen na Klotz Kashe Dram says, the Pasuk says, Leirev le Yashchisa b'chol har kodshi, Kimal har Zeyas Hashem Kamayim liyom mechasim. Why are the animals not going to do any harm? Because the earth will be filled with knowledge of Hashem like water covers the sea. The Ram says, could you imagine in the first time a lion will all of a sudden get knowledge and he'll understand about the Eibusher and he'll stop being eating up other animals? Rambam says, how could you learn the whole thing l'chatchila kipshuta? I mean, memela goyim that are human beings that are shaykh to have one of us that are able to understand. So regarding them, you could say that the knowledge of Hashem will increase, so they'll realize that it's not a way of life to steal, to murder, to hurt, and so on and so forth. But for animals, so the Rambam says, I could look, and then the rest of the Rambam will explain later. But anyway, so this is the gang of the Rambam, is that these things are Moshel v'chida. Now some Mefarshim, some people explain like this. What the Rabbi is asking on the Rambam is the idea that things are Moshel v'chida is true by Nevi'im, but in Torah itself, in Divrei Torah, in the Chamisha Chumshei Torah, whatever says it has to be taken kipshutai. There's Lamed Beis Midas, those that have learned a little bit Midrashim, Hakdama to Midrashim. Certain Medrash brings down the 32 Midrash. We know 13 Midrash Torah Nidrashas. We say every day, Rabbi Shmuel Leimer, 13 ways of dashing the Torah. But there's another Maimer, another Medrash, 32 different ways, much more details. And there it says, at the Torah, there's only 3 places in the whole Chamisha Chumshei Torah that things are written in the way of mashal. And it gives an example. We have in Parshas Mishpatim, in Zarcha Hashem Shalav Amaisa, someone that's coming, he's going into the house, he's tunneling his way in. It says that the sun shined on him, and it means there metaphorically, if you know that he's coming for Rashi says, he's coming for peaceful intention. There's 3 places, I forgot the other one. Huh? Yeah, there's 3 places where it says that are written b'derech mashal, but the rest of the Torah is written straight. And the explanation is also explained in Svarim, because the Rambam explained the difference between the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu and the prophecy of the other Nevi'im. The prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu, when the Eibusher gave him a prophecy, the Eibusher told him the Inyan Azay Vidas is the way it is. The other Nevi'im, when they got a prophecy, they lechatchila got it in a way of a mashal. The Rambam explains in Nuchasei Torah and other places that learned that the other Nevi'im, they would get a prophecy, they would have to figure out, they would be given the insight to figure out what the meaning is, but what they would actually be given is a mashal, and they would have to figure it out. So Memela in Divrei HaNevi'im, the Chatchila Rambam learns that you have to take it as a mashal v'chida. But in Divrei Torah, it's besides those 3 exceptions, so Memela, some people want to say that the Rabbi is saying to the Rambam, Pasuk you brought in Yeshaya good, but the Pasuk in Chumash, you can't play around with the Pasuk in Chumash. But again, the Rambam will learn that the Pasuk in Chumash is Nishnegel in your name. The Pasuk is not saying wild animals won't exist. Now, there's other opinions here. One other opinion is the Radvaz. He says it just means they won't bother you in Eretz Yisrael. But it doesn't mean that won't exist or they'll stop being predators. It means that in Eretz Yisrael will be a special shmira from the Eibusher, the Chai Yisrael won't come. Be there they won't be where you are living. If you want to learn Gar Pashtas. There's another opinion here. The other opinion is the Radvaz on the Pirush and the Rambam here, and it's also, if you look in the Radak in the Yeshaya, he says one of his Pirushim, he says the same thing, and he says, even though it's a bit different between them, but he says the point is that the Radvaz comes with the interesting, so to say, compromise between the Rambam and the Rabbi. His compromise is that in Eretz Yisrael all these miracles will happen literally. In Chutz La'aretz, outside of Eretz Yisrael, the taka won't be a change of nature. The Rebbe says from the Rambam is B'chlal, not mashma, that's what he holds. That learned that in the Rambam, the Rebbe says is pretty difficult. But the Radvaz, that was his. So he says the pasuk that the Rebbe brings that there won't be any wild animals in Eretz Yisrael. So Eretz Yisrael. the pasuk, the Gar Zevim Keves, whatever, I don't know if the Rabbi says these voices, but that comes out. The other psukim that speak about change in nature, that's talking about outside of Eretz Yisrael. So there, Enochanami, or not, forget about the pasuk of Gar Zevim Keves, other things, in other words, there won't be a change of nature outside of Eretz Yisrael. And Eretz Yisrael is a special miracle for the Yidden there will be. The Radak, what he does is he takes the pasuk, this idea, and he explains it in the pasuk that I mentioned in the psukim of the Haftarah of Yeshai over there. That says v'lo yorei v'lo yashchisu b'chol har kodesh. Pasuk says that animals won't do harm in all my holy mountain. What means my holy mountain? The Radak learned that it goes in the whole Eretz Yisrael. Because the whole Eretz Yisrael is higher. Eretz Yisrael is gevoyim mikol haratzos. Eretz Yisrael is higher than all other lands. So there's all called a har. So throughout Eretz Yisrael, the animals won't. Here also it's mashma a little bit, not so much that it'll be a nace that the animals, their nature will be changed, but they won't hurt. They won't harm people. The Rambam, what I will say is the Rambam in Igeres Chiyas HaMeisim, he learns a little bit different. The Rambam says there, he says, if you want, the Rambam says, I'll learn. It'll be a miracle, taka, but it'll be a miracle that'll be limited to the Beis Hamikdash or Yerushalayim. It says, because it says, b'chol har kodesh. The Rambam seems to learn har kodesh referring to the Har HaBayis or Yerushalayim. He says, we find in Pirkei Avos, it says, one of the 10 miracles that happened in the Beis Hamikdash is hizik nochash v'akar of Yerushalayim. This is thy nochash. That a snake or a scorpion didn't do any damage in Yerushalayim. So Mela, the Rambam says, Pashto is the simple meaning of the pasuk. It says, I don't see how you could learn that the animals won't their nature will change. Asat hashayach halai and to have das as Hashem. He says, if you learn it kipshuta, I'll agree with you, it could be kipshuta, but only in Yerushalayim, Har HaBayis. But to say that it'll be like this, so here you learn. But here you see at least the Rambam didn't learn like the Radak. The Chol Har Kodesh goes in the whole of Eretz Yisrael.
Wouldn't be any difference. It would be like that. Time of Beit HaMikdash was like that.
And does the Rambam.
What's the difference?
Does the Rambam. That's exactly what the Rambam is saying. The Rambam is saying we're Nissim then, there'll be Nissim, we're Nissim the times Beis Hamikdash Hasheni. Okay, it'll be a little bit more maybe, but Rambam is trying to say, this is the answer word, there won't be a change in nature.
Any animals in Yerushalayim, any wild animals?
Nachash v'akrav, wild animals might not be, but Nachash v'akrav, Nechashim and Akrabim, even at Hayom Hazeh, you'll go in Eretz Yisrael, you know, they have to be careful in certain places from the Chashim. The Chashim hang out, you have to be, wild animals are, they need to have their it's harder for them to hide, v'chulu v'chulu. But the Chashim v'akrabim are more shayach. Yeah.
They said
Wait a minute, so here not, what do you mean, in the mountains though?
No, in
There is an
but in the Yeshuvim, you have that
again, they don't come too much to Mokim. Yeshuv, the Nechoshim and Akrab,
so it says Akel Misrap the Medrash says Akel Misrap but the Rebbe learns that even the Nachash will eventually be Nistakin. But I don't want to get into that right now. Another thing that Radak says is that he says another interesting way of learning that it's a mashal v'chida, that he explains. Radak says this word and a similar word. Another Sefer Habatim he says that the Rambam learns that the wild animals are a mashal for the nations that are attacking the Jews. He says the wild animals is a mashal for emunis koizves, for emunis rois, for unappropriate beliefs or unappropriate behaviors. The Radak. Or other people say in simple English. He said another Sefer Habatim. I think it's also from one from Mamash Rishon from earlier. Sefer Habatim. No. It's Rabbeinu David HaKechavir Sam. It was only printed recently, the Sefer. So I think maybe one of the Yisherim around, maybe a little after, he writes that it goes on the Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara. He puts it that way, that the wolf and dust, the lion, is, the Chal Yisrael, Yetzer Hara is take the snake. The snake is the Yetzer Hara, yeah? When we will know in Pshatei Shamikran and in Bereishis, the snake, Yetzer Hara. So he says that they'll make peace, that wild animals will leave B'Shalom means that they won't the negative beliefs or the negative midas or the Yetzer Hara won't bother a person. And if you want to add the word of Chassidus Adrabah, they'll be turned over to good. The Yetzer Hara will be turned over to good. That's another interesting way of learning a Moshe V'chita. Now, the way of learning all these psukim kipshuta, this is until I discussed the Rambam, the Ravid, the Radak, but then the Radak L'chatchila starts up with another beer, and this is a beer that a lot of other
He
people...
bring in halacha. Rambam bring in halacha. You have to learn in the Pashto. Not in Kabbalah, not in Nevi'im. He bring it in halacha. You have to learn it.
Of course, you have to learn the halacha, but the Rambam, even the Ra'imanot, the halacha, what the Rambam is telling you in the halacha, what he means to say is two things. He means to say, the way the Rabbi explains the Rambam, is that the gedder of Yemesa Mashiach in halacha, the definition of what Mashiach has to accomplish or what you have to believe in, doesn't entail change of nature. The Rambam is not paskening that it's not allowed to happen. The Rambam is not saying a halacha. You should know you're not allowed to believe it's going to happen. You should know it's not going to happen. That's not the kavanah of the Rambam. The Rambam's kavanah is another thing altogether. The Rambam's kavanah is, what does Mashiach have to do? What is the meaning?
Minimum.
What is the gedder? What is the definition of the effect of Mashiach and halacha? What is the idea of Yemesa Mashiach? Is shleimus ha'teira v'amitzvah.
No, I'm saying
is that the world will serve Hashem. People will keep teira mitzvahs. You don't have to believe that these things mean kipshutay. You don't, but not that the Rambam himself writes in the Geras Chiyas HaMeisim. He said, the Rebbe quotes this in the famous Zirkind, says, this that I say this, I'm not saying this as a gzeira, that's something that cannot change. He says, I like to explain things the way they make sense in simple English, the Rambam is saying. And basically, the way the Rebbe learns, as long as I have no hechrech, nothing is forcing me to learn the psukim shalei kipshutam, to learn the psukim literally, so I'll decide to, I feel comfortable learning them as a mashal. But not that the Rambam is saying that it can't happen. The Rambam is saying, the way the Rabbi explains, Be'ikr, this is not, if it does happen, it's going to be an added thing on what Moshiach has to do. But let me finish off one thing, because it's getting late. The gang that many other people explain, the Radak begins off with this, and Mittel Rebbe discusses this many times, is that the Rebbe also brings it down in the Sikh and Chelach of Zayin over there, is that a lot of people explain that Moshe Mashiach, the world will revert the way it was before Chet Eitzadas. Before Chet Eitzadas, according to a number of Mefarshim, animals lived in peace. There was no such a thing. The Radak says, the Pasha verse says, if animals would eat each other up to the day they were created, you won't have wouldn't be any sheep today, because it was only Chveis HaZachar and the cave of sheep created. So if a lion would eat them up right away, so obviously...
Why is Undian Zachar when it came?
As I schreibt it, I think. I don't know, but it was maybe I'm okay. Maybe it doesn't use those words, but the point is there weren't that many around. So you're saying
different areas they were living.
How big
was the world then? As today or a little smaller?
But with the animals, like where were the animals? Don't say that all over the world.
All over the world, yeah. What's
the same way they created?
I don't know.
Creation was the moed with the air or the sava at the same time. But there was a distance that takes to travel. This is the word.
Fine. The Shiloh is also in Australia. When did the creation take place? But anyway, so let me just finish off. So before Chet Eitzadas, the Rebbe Grada learns in Pshutei Shomikra. The Rebbe learns that the animals did eat up each other.
Did each other
before Chet Eitzadas, or at least before Noach was allowed to eat animals for sure. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Rebbe learns in Pshutei Shomikra that the Rebbe says, because if they weren't, because other Rishon wasn't allowed to eat animals, right? So if animals were prohibited to eat up other animals, the Rebbe says, so we're in Pshutei Shomikra, they should give them rishus. Also the Punkt Hashem, when did they all of a sudden get permission? They are allowed to eat up other animals. The
animals themselves.
Yeah, so the Rebbe learned Shat in Pshutei Shomikra, we don't find any Isser in animals to eat up other animals. But Akopanim up Chassidus and the Vidyanim Neden sich in Chassidus, it's that it's clear that the animals were living in peace with each other. So the famous gang that they say is that the world is going to return to the way it was originally. That then, as I was given with Chalos Sabriya. Fine, you can drop in the Vidyanim Apel Mamish.